Today I'm going to give you a demo of Classlist to get you all the tips and tricks to get you up and running with your Classlist community. There are two areas to Classlist, the parent area and the admin area. And if you were the first person to set up, you'll be an ambassador. You can have as many ambassadors as you like. The first thing I'm going to do is just show you a short 1-minute video of the parent features, just so you can see the main benefits for parents. I'm Clare Wright, one of the founders of Classlist. Today I'm going to show you a demo of the Classlist app. When you join Classlist, you're put into groups according to your children's classes and year groups. You can also set up other groups such as parent volunteers or dog walkers. Your homepage feed is a summary of everything relevant to you, such as posts to your classes and groups, or to the whole school. You'll also see announcements from your PTA and class reps, and sometimes school staff. It's easy to filter your homepage feed to go into one class or group, to write or reply to a post and see what's happening. On the contacts page, you'll find other families, which helps you to work out who is Tom's. You can send a private message to other parents here. Parents can opt in to appear on the map to help in finding a lift chair or making friends nearby. Events and parties are a popular feature. Set up a private party and choose who to invite by the child or parent's name. It's easy to reply or to buy tickets within the app for community events such as PTA fundraisers. In the marketplace, parents can list items for sale or for free cycling. A percentage of the proceeds can be donated direct to the PTA via Classlist. You have full control over your profile and whether or not to share contact details with your year group. Parents who need to keep their contact details private don't need to be left out with Classlist. You choose what to receive as app notifications and what as email. We hope you find Classlist useful. You can download it from the App Store or Google Play. Okay, so that just gives you an overview of what a parent will see of Classlist. And now I'm going to show you the admin dashboard so that you can get your Classlist account ready to get set up and running. Okay, so here we are in the admin area of Classlist. The green header means you're in the admin area. And here at the top right, you've got a little switch to parent toggle that you can use to get into your parent account. And it's exactly the same on the app. So you can do everything on the app, but obviously it's laid out slightly differently on the computer. So when you first log in, you'll see this Get Started dashboard. And these are just giving you some steps that we've found that successful communities on Classlist have taken to get started. It really only can take you a few minutes to launch Classlist if you're ready to go, or if you're wanting to explore, there's lots of things you can look at. So I'll just show you a little bit around Classlist. So the first section we call Personalise Your School. So I'm going to come here to the school profile page and show you what we can do there around adding a welcome message, adding a logo, adding a banner, and then we can think about adding your first announcement to your parents. So here we are on the school profile page, and this is a page where you can hold sort of information about your school. So you can choose your logo here and a photo or image that represents your school. And you can edit those using these camera icons here. You can also edit the school name because obviously sometimes the name that Classlist has been set up with isn't exactly the name you'd like to give. You might be two schools combined together, or the name that is held in the school database might not be exactly the one to use. So you can just edit that here. And as soon as you've done that, that will appear everywhere. If you sent an email, that name will appear correctly. You can also say here why you're using Classlist, again by sort of editing this little box here. You know, you might want to say we're wanting to build a more positive community, or we're wanting to put people in touch because not everyone's in touch. You can edit the word in there to reflect your school. There's a default currency for payments here, which will be useful when you come to running events using our payment feature to collect money for tickets or for merchandise you're selling. And that means that you don't have to select it every time you set up an event. Now the personal welcome message here to the parent is a really great feature that we added about 6 months ago. What we found was that in the most successful Classlist school communities, the admins and ambassadors were very welcoming and were sending personal sort of private messages to new parents as they joined, saying, you know, hi, I'm the PTA chair and this is who my children are and I just want to welcome you. And they found that parents replied to that because it's it's not very sort of scary to reply to a welcome message. So we automated that because some of those schools are spending the whole summer holiday sort of every time someone joined going and writing a message, and it was quite a lot of work. So what happens with this is 24 hours after someone joins, they'll get a private message from you. It just starts a conversation. A lot of them will reply and just say, oh, thanks so much. And you can then sort of engage them, answer their questions, and hopefully draw them into becoming a sort of helpful volunteer and engaged member of your community. And there's other information here, your school address. Now, there's a setting here whether or not you allow parents to post to the whole school. We have a lot of different schools using Classlist, ranging from small schools to very large schools with thousands of parents. And so not every school wants to use Classlist in the same way. If this box is ticked, then any parent can write a post to the whole school. So in a small school, that's very attractive. You want your parents to be able to reach everyone. Whereas in a school with thousands of people, you might want to have that off. Parents can still write a whole school post in the marketplace, which is sort of notified differently. It's not in the same way. So if they're selling something or asking for a recommendation, they can do that in the marketplace, and that goes to the whole school. But that's what this setting is here. You can add links here to things that websites that your parents would find useful, maybe the school website. There may be other websites that you want to refer them to, like a uniform shop. Lots of people actually use the Classlist marketplace for uniform as well, but you can put any links you like there, and you can add as many as you like. It just shows one right now. When you first join, you'll see some sample content, as we call it, which is a sample event, a sample announcement, a sample marketplace post. And that's just to show you so that you don't have a completely blank site when you join. You can remove that here by clicking that button. Now, the next thing that is on this page is who all your admins are. That you wouldn't just want to have any community with sort of one PTA chair and no committee, no reps or anything. I mean, that's not how things work in real life. The most successful sort of parent communities have sort of volunteers, advocates peppered throughout them. And so we reflect that structure in our structure. Now, if you're the first person to set up, you will automatically be an ambassador, but you can have as many ambassadors as you like. And that role is a full admin role that gives you a parent account with full admin status. So you can set up all the classes, invite people, you could deactivate accounts of people when they leave. You can also moderate content if necessary, essentially, and you can make other admins. So essentially you've got sort of full control over everything on Classlist, over who's a member and what the content is. Now, there are some other types of admin status as well. A community rep typically might be another sort of PTA committee member, and they don't need or want full admin rights. So this allows them to send announcements and events out as an admin, but they don't need to be bothered with editing the school structure or assigning admin status or deactivating parent accounts. It's just gives them, so it might be your communications secretary or someone like that who's going to sort of communicate and needs admin status for that. Staff admins are not parent accounts, they're staff only accounts, admin only accounts. So they only see the green header, they don't have a switch to parent toggle, and they don't have pupils attached to their account. Staff admins are a great thing to have because they can be a great help in terms of inviting parents and just getting the right names of the classes in, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So if you can get a staff admin on, it's a really great thing. They, as I say, they don't have a pupil attached to their account, which means they're not on the parent side of Classlist, and they can't actually see into the groups. So whilst they can send announcements and events out, and if parents comment on them, they can see those replies, they can't see into the groups or into Monitor Community, which is a tab that ambassadors have that allows you to see into sort of every group in one long activity feed. So you don't need to, some staff don't want to be able to see that content, and some parent groups feel that it's better if staff don't. Just on that note, we have member guidelines on Classlist that Classlist shouldn't be used to complain about a school or anyone connected with the school. So it's not a sense of the staff admins can't see it so that you can go ahead and your parent community can complain about the school. It's more a case of ring-fenced area where you can have staff who help with the administration of Classlist, but the parents have got their own area to communicate. And we find that works very well, having ambassadors who are the parent community leaders being in charge of the content, and we do not have a problem with the way parents behave on Classlist because we have those guidelines. Staff admins aren't in the parent area, and it does mean also that a parent can't private message a staff admin, which a lot of schools wouldn't want a parent to be able to initiate contact in that way. Class admins are like class reps. You may or may not have class reps. They are a class level admin status. So you can see here listed, you can actually, for every class that you've got on your school structure, you can add an admin. And that means that if a parent sees that there's another version of this page that parents see, they can then easily see who the class admin is for their class. And you can also assign them very easily here. And what that allows them to do is it also allows them to send events and announcements like any admin can. But it also allows them to approve parents who join their class. So we're going to come on to how you invite and approve parents. Everyone on Classlist is approved, and there are various ways of inviting and approving parents. But one method is to have someone in each class doing that. And that was one of the original methods we had, which was in each class, there should be a parent who's perhaps going to know most of the parents. So it's quite easy for them to approve people. And then if someone joins who they don't know, it's quite easy for them to find out if they're a parent at the school. So that's one method of getting your parents invited and joined, is your reps probably know who they are. They may have their contact details. And those reps tend to be great at welcoming new parents, arranging events and coffees, collecting monies for teachers' presents. They're really great people to have on board for your Classlist community, because that's reflecting a real thriving community in the real world. So that's pretty much the school profile page. Now I'm going to show you the school structure page, which is one of the first pages you would just want to check to get set up. So when you join, you will see that the year groups, the standard sort of UK year groups, are listed here. You can edit any of them because obviously some schools don't call year one, and they may go up, you may start at year 7, etc. So you can easily just use the pencil icon here to click on a group, and then you can either edit it by typing in a new name here, or you can actually delete the group. So I'm just going to delete that year group, apart from I can't, because in fact this year group has currently got a couple of classes in. So there is a system block, which means you can't delete a year group that's got classes in, and you can't delete a class that's got people in, and that's obviously to prevent things going wrong. So in this case, I'm just going to move these pupils, which is very easy. I'm going to select them. I can select all of them one by one, and I'm going to choose a class to move them to by clicking in this box above. And I'm going to move them to class 3B like that, and I'm just going to move them. So now, if I go back to year 8, these 2 classes are empty. So I'm now actually going to just delete that class to show you that it's very easy just to delete a class. Now, if I wanted to rename this, as I say, I click on the icon there, and I can just call this, let's say, year 8 without the E. So when you first join Classlist, you'll see this structure, and you can basically build your own school structure here. So this is obviously a demo school, so there's not lots of people in it. But say you were doing year 6, you might want to add, class 1 and class 2. If your school only has 1 class per year group, you don't need to use the second column. So whilst it says add year, you can name this anything you like. This might just be called owls or something. We quite often get class and year names that are nature related. This is now here, they're in alphabetical order. So you've now got class or year here with no one in it. Now I could then move someone directly into that year group. We don't have to have a class in the year group, so I can just move someone into owls. So if you have joined up and people have sort of joined in the wrong class, or people joined before you set up your structure, don't worry, it's very easy just to move people around. You can either use that move button, or you can drag and drop people. Personally, I prefer using the move button, but some people drag and drop. It's very easy to see here who you've got on Classlist. So if you look at, years 3's class B, you can see the pupils here, and you can see the parent names in pink, and if you click on one, you can then see the information about them, when they joined, who their other pupils are, their details. Yeah, it's very easy just to use the school structure. So the first thing to do is just get your school structure right, which only takes a few minutes because you've got just to get your year groups right and your classes right. And then when your parents join, they will see these years and classes in the drop down, and they can just join the right year group. So if you've got your school structure page right and your school profile page right, you're ready to go. Now, what you might want to do is write a welcome announcement before you invite some parents, so that there's something on Classlist when people join. We tend to suggest that it's good to sort of put a bit of personalised stuff for your school, so that people don't join and just see something blank. So some schools invite all the class reps first, for instance, to say, yeah, I'll put a couple of messages in your groups, perhaps set up a welcome coffee. And then when parents join, they'll kind of see the stuff to respond to. Now, announcements can be used in a couple of different ways, and they're really great. It's a very popular feature. You can either write a one-liner really quick. The school is closed, you've got to pick up now, and you would be able to select, you'll see in a minute, the whole school. So it's very quick. You can just, boom, send that out. And in fact, we had great feedback last year when it did snow and a lot of schools were closed, because some schools said that for the first time no parents turned up at school on the snow day because they had received a push notification from Classlist rather than not having looked at their email from the school. Because the great thing about Classlist is there's an app, parents can have email notifications as well. So when you send something, you're not having to think, oh, I've got an email list of parents who actually prefer emails to an app, and I've got most of the people who are on the app. You just send your announcement and the parent receives it how they want to receive it, which is, you know, email or app notification or both. You can also send longer announcements, which you can use as sort of newsletters. So this is an example of one where there's been images added and links and different sections. You can add different fonts. Now you'll see that this is in one column only, and that's deliberate when you create it, because most people are reading newsletters on their phone. So if you spend ages laying out an A4 newsletter and making it look all beautiful, what's going to happen is the parents are going to open it and they're going to scroll around a bit and then they're going to give up. Whereas with the Classlist announcement, we make it in one column, and then even within that, it's going to fit the phone the parent is on or to their email. And so it's much easier to read. You can make it look really nice. Now, when you go to create an announcement, it's pretty easy. You've just got, you could just say year 3, or you could say this is for the whole school. And then, you're going to put a subject, any subject you might put as if you were sending an email. But you can then format it with headers, and you can add images, and you can change the fonts. So you can pretty much make it nice very easily, add links. You can even add HTML, tables, bulleted lists. So it's a nice simple code editor that means you can't really go wrong. You can just put everything in your column, add the images you want, all in a single feed, and boom, there you go. The other thing that's very popular on Classlist is events. But first, I'm just going to show you about the parents and the information you've got about them, because one of the real benefits of Classlist is you've got full visibility of who is on Classlist. So it's not like a WhatsApp group where sometimes you see a message and just a phone number, you don't really know who wrote a message. On Classlist, everybody has to be sort of attached to a pupil. You can see who they are and whose parent they are. And you can see at any time, you can go and search in the All Parents field on different criteria, your new joiners or by a particular class, and you can then look and see which children they've got. And you could deactivate their account at any time. In the summer, we have a system prompt that suggests you want to check your classes, move up pupils into new classes, and check if you need to deactivate anyone who's left. So that's very easy to do. When parents join, which I'm going to come on to in a minute, how you invite them, everyone needs to be approved to join. And they can either have a pre-approval invitation, which means that you don't individually approve them. You basically give them an invitation which says this is a parent and they're pre-approved, or they are individually approved. And they will then, you get a notification on this page and it'll say Ben Jones has joined, and you would then approve them. Now, there's lots of ways to invite parents to Classlist. So because we know that everyone's got different amounts of information about parents, different ways of reaching them. So if you click on this pink button here, you can see the options. Now, you could just get a link here for your school newsletter, to go in a letter from the school. That's one way that parents hear about Classlist. It's a great help if your head will send a letter saying, we support everyone joining, and here's a link. That's one way of doing it. There are also links here that go to WhatsApp and Facebook. That so if you were on a phone, for instance, and you clicked on the WhatsApp one, it'll go into WhatsApp, and you can choose a group, and then it'll put in a sort of little message and link, so you can invite a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group. Those three methods are not pre-approval methods. Parents are essentially getting a link to sign up, and they follow the link, and it'll take them to your school on Classlist. But they're not pre-approved because you're not individually putting in their details. So you'd be asked to approve them if they join. These first two methods are pre-approval methods. So if you've got any emails for parents at your school, or if class reps do, you can invite an email list, and you can just paste in a list of emails here, copy and paste it. You don't have to choose the year or class, but you can if you want. You can also upload a CSV, which is very simple, with the email, parent names, and the year and class of their pupils. So that's a way of doing it, a sort of bulk upload if you've got a spreadsheet that you're extracting from a school management information system or something. But otherwise, you can paste in a list of emails, and you can paste in 1,500. So it's not, it's very simple to paste that in. And what that will do is that's going to send the parent an invitation email, which is obviously good because they get an invitation email in their inbox rather than seeing it in the school newsletter, for instance. Secondly, they're pre-approved, as I mentioned, so it's a nice quick way of you inviting 500 people and not needing to approve them. And thirdly, because they've been invited by an admin via that method, they will then start receiving your announcements and events. And the reason for that is, if you invited 500 people this afternoon, a lot of them might join tonight, but not all of them will. And if tomorrow you need to send an announcement, you don't want to be caught thinking, oh, not everyone's going to get my announcement because we're just in the joining phase of Classlist. If you send an announcement or event as an admin, the parents you've invited via their email address will get a copy. So it's just a CC, they're not a member. They would have to join to interact with other parents. Other parents won't see them. It's just really a sort of mailing list. But it is a great feature in your joining phase, if you have got email addresses, to sort of know that you can sort of reach everyone via Classlist right away. And a lot of schools will upload the information for you, and you can do that under GDPR, and we give information how. It varies by school, but it's a great reason for getting a staff admin, is to see if you can put in an email list for parents for that reason. But the other great method of inviting people, which is really the easiest method of inviting people, is this, where it says generate a QR code invitation flyer. So if you click on this, what's going to happen is the system is going to generate an invitation flyer for your school, and it's going to show your school name and some information about Classlist, and then it has a QR code, and the QR code lasts for 1 week for security reasons, and it auto approves parents. So parents, if they scan this, it'll first of all take them to the right app in the App Store or Google Play. But we know that some schools are essentially using that time when you're waiting to say, hey, have you seen Classlist? Could you just scan this code and get the app? So there's been some really great sort of sign-up methods from that code outside the school gate. It was actually designed for welcome meetings, and normally in June, when parents and pupils come to visit a school to meet the teacher, meet other families, there's normally a lot of joiners to Classlist then, because the PTA or rep will say, hey, at our school we use Classlist, you can join right away and find out about welcome events over the summer and get-togethers and start chatting with other people in the class. So the QR code was actually designed for handing out there, but people are handing them out, or as I say, just asking people to scan it outside the school at the moment and sending them out in the newsletter. So if your school office is very time pushed at the moment because everyone's sort of super busy, and they were busy pre-COVID. It's really easy for you just to say, we only need you to do one thing. Can you just please email out this invitation flyer? So it really only takes the school half a minute to help you invite your parents. Just so you know, you've got groups here. You can see your list of your groups, and some of them are your automatic groups, which are from the school structure. So every year and class that are on the school structure has a group automatically set up. So when your parents join, you don't have to go and put them in a group as well. If they joined class A of year 3, they'll be in a group for class A and in a group for year 3. And they may have 2 children, so they may be in other groups as well. But then you can also have other groups which are set up in the parent area, which you can see separately. But essentially, you might have groups around, a theatre club, or your parent volunteers put them all in a group, or a book swap group, or a Saturday cycling club, anything that works for your parent community, and parents can join them. And it's a really nice way of bringing sort of parents of similar interests together. Some schools have nationality groups if they've got a lot of parents from certain nationalities, or they're an international school where everyone's from overseas. The last thing I wanted to show you here is Monitor Community. That actually is an example of everything that has been happening at your school. And if you did need to delete something, you could delete it here. If someone else had put something, you can obviously delete your own stuff yourself. But if someone else has put something that you need to delete, you can delete it from within Monitor Community. And if a parent reported something they thought was inappropriate, the ambassador would get informed of that and then could look here and delete it. Our events and payment feature, which is our most popular feature, and it just saves you so much time in terms of running meetings, events, and collecting money, selling tickets, getting RSVPs. Okay, so here we go. This is the admin side still, the green header, and this is community events, which is where you can do set up meetings, arrange events, which can be RSVP type events or ticketed events, collect money, and also incorporate sign-up lists, which is a very popular feature for getting volunteers, either from a list of tasks for an event, or a whole sort of rota for a Christmas fair where you need 50, 100 people to help. So I'm going to show you how to create an event. Now let's imagine this is a, let's say a scarecrow trail was something we've seen recently. And we're going to say the event starts, let's say next week. It's on the Saturday next week. And so you can choose the date and time. And you can also add an RSVP date. This is essentially if you need to sort of close responses to your event before the event date. So you'd only use this if you do want to close responses, because it will stop people responding or buying tickets. Now, I use it at my own school, for instance. If we've got a quiz night on a Friday, we need to know by the Wednesday how many people are coming so we can do the table plan and get the right amount of food and drink and things. So that's the kind of example of how you'd use an RSVP date. But if it's actually something like a coffee or something where you really want as many people to come and you don't want to restrict them, then don't set a date that restricts them, because obviously some people leave it to the last minute to reply. You can put some information here about your event, and you can put quite a lot of information there. Now, you can choose whether your event is online or not. In this particular case, it's not. But if it was an online event, you could put in your Zoom or Google Meet link here. And then, in fact, when a parent comes to the event, they would just be able to click on a button on Classlist. They wouldn't have to sort of get the link, copy it, etc. But this is obviously not an online event. You can then also choose the location. A lot of locations of school events are obviously at the school. So we offer you that option, and we've already got the address there because we've got the school's address. If it's in the school, you might want to say, starting in room 5 or something. Or your event might be somewhere else, in which case you can select another location. It saves the location every time you add one. So if you've got a commonly used location like a local coffee shop where you often meet, again, you haven't got to keep entering the address. Let's say in this particular case, we're going to start there. We can also then upload our own image or choose from the class list image selection. So in this particular case, let's say we're going to choose that image. There's also some really nice images like for coffees and things. If you have an attachment, you can upload an attachment there. Just be aware that, like I said about attachments earlier, you know, parents don't tend to sort of like them very much, but you might, you know, have a reason to add an attachment. And then you can choose between RSVP and tickets. RSVP is obviously what it says. You know, if you're just having a coffee or something where you don't need to know very much detail about who's coming, then people can RSVP. So if they're invited, they would then just say yes, no, or maybe as a member. So they can't say there's 2 of us coming using that. So if you want to collect sort of more accurate numbers, you would use tickets. You can choose free or paid tickets. I'm going to choose free tickets on this occasion just because the video showed you connecting to Stripe. It's very simple to connect to Stripe and to collect money via that method. You can set up a Stripe account in about 10 minutes. And then when you have an event, you would just say, I'm going to connect it to Stripe, and the money would collect there. But in this particular case, I'm just going to show you free tickets. So you might say adult trail ticket, and you might say there's 50 available. You might say child, there's 100 available, whatever. You can have as many tickets as you like. And then you can also ask your guests questions, which is really useful because often you need to know information. Now, if someone comes along and buys 2 tickets, they will then have the opportunity to answer the questions for each of those tickets. So you might, for instance, say, do you have any allergies or something? Health conditions that are relevant or something, you know, for your event. And you might ask a food question. Are you wanting a vegetarian meal or something? We get quite often, you know, who is picking up the child from the disco, that kind of thing. So you can add as many questions as you like and save those. And then there's just a couple more options here. Adding a sign-up list is great for getting volunteers or things done in advance. So here, if you add a sign-up, you can decide whether or not you want it to be a sort of time slot based sign-up. So if you said no, then that might be for a list of tasks like make a post of the Scarecrow Trail, go and buy the prizes the children are going to win, and arrange some drinks for the day. So it might just be a sort of non-time based task list that you add in advance of your event. But if you're wanting to have a sort of more complex task list for an event where you've got people doing things at different times and multiple people at a time on multiple tasks, like a Christmas fair, then you can do that here and it builds it very easily. So you can say how long your event lasts, because you might want volunteers for an hour before the event as well. And then how long each time slot should be. And then you're going to add the tasks. So you might say, give out maps at start. And you might say, I need 2 people to be giving out maps at the start of the Scarecrow Trail. And then you might have, you know, prizes at the end. Again, you might want another 2 people for that. You can build your rota that way. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to publish that to our event. I'm just going to go back to the event, and there's just a couple more settings here that are useful to know about before we send invitations. At the moment, you having set up this event, you're the event owner, which means that you can see who's coming, and you can send messages to them, and you can check the tickets that, you know, that have been sold. Basically, you can do everything about the event. So you may want to add other event admins if there are a couple of you running the event. Someone else, you might have set it up, but the treasurer might want to look at the takings, or someone else might want to be, you know, sending a message. So we're going to add another admin. Only people with admin status can be added as an event admin because they need access to the admin area of Classlist. So you can choose from your reps list. Something else you can do here is you can actually say if your event, you're not the person who's sort of running it. It will say the event's been created by Sam Brown, but you might want to say it's the PTA committee who are sort of running this event, and that will then show there. You can then also choose if your event is for the public, which is essentially, I mean, it's not necessarily public, it means is there a guest checkout. So if you choose that, you get a URL you can get to people who you can give to people who aren't members on Classlist yet, and that gives them a URL they can access, and they could use a guest checkout. It can be a really great way of getting parents to engage with Classlist if you invite them to an event that way. Now we've saved the draft of the event, and now we're going to think about who our guests are. So we're going to add some guests. Like with announcements, you can choose any year or class. You could choose the Saturday cycling club, or you could just say, actually, it's for the whole school. And then you're going to add your guests. All your information's here. Now we're going to sort of publish this event, and there's a couple of options when you publish it. So I'm going to click publish. You may have an event that you want to send the invitations to now because it's your Scarecrow Trail and it's in 2 weeks' time, in which case you would choose publish and send invites. But you may have an event you're putting in Classlist because it's next summer's summer fair, and people will be a bit confused if they get an invitation in December. So what you would be doing there is saying, I'm going to publish it so it's in the events page list of events, but I'm not going to trigger the invitation now. I'll do that nearer the time. So in this case, I'm going to say publish and send invites. It's going to whir away and send some invitations to all your members. Now, if I now switch to the parent area of Classlist, these are my groups here on the home page, and I'm going to look at the events. And coming up here, we've got a Scarecrow Trail. And if I wanted to get tickets, I can choose, oh, I'm going to come along with my 2 children. That's a free event, so there's no charge. I'm going to then answer the questions. Yes, I have a peanut allergy, etc., etc. And you could add it for your other child as well. Hay fever, etc. And then you could also sign up to help at the event. Oh yes, I'll give out maps at the start. I'll be there at 12:15 and I'm going to sign up to give out maps at the start. So there we are, and I've signed up to help, and I've signed up to go to the event, and I will get reminded the event's happening and that I've signed up. The invitation is here, the event information. While I'm here, I can see that my announcement is there, and also if I go to the home page activity feed, it's there in the activity feed, and indeed it'll be in my notifications as well. My tickets and my announcement are all there in the notifications. Now, just to go back to the event briefly, you also obviously now want to see who's coming to your event. So I got free tickets to the event. So now I want to see who is coming to my event. So I can see here, oh, okay, I've got 1 adult ticket and two children's tickets have been taken. And that's 3 in total. I can either view the list, but I could also message them. I say, oh, I'm just going to send a message to people who've bought a ticket because I don't want to bother the people who haven't. So I can actually say it's going to rain, bring wellies, and send that out to the people who purchased. But similarly, I could actually send it to the people who haven't responded yet and just sort of say, we need to know you're coming, etc. Or I could resend the invitations to them as well. But you can sort of see all the lists and filter in different ways, who hasn't responded, who has responded, and if they have responded, you can look here and see the information that was replied. Now, if you choose download list, you'll get a downloaded CSV file which opens as a spreadsheet with all this information in, and it will have each ticket as a single line. So Sam's adult ticket here will then show the answers to the questions. So you can very easily see in a single column all the answers to the allergy question or the vegetarian question. You can see all the information very easily. And it means that if you're selling tickets for your event, you've got all the information there in a file showing who paid what, how much they paid, and you can use that as a guest list on the door, or you could use it on Classlist as well. So you've got a lot of information there. It really does make it super easy. We've really built this with schools and PTAs in mind, and we're constantly adding new features to how you'd use Classlist. So there you are, that's a tour of Classlist. I hope I've shown you the most useful features. You can reach all your parents with Classlist. It's very easy to collect money and find out who's coming to your events. And we're here to help, so do get in touch via our help centre, and we'd love to help you get started on Classlist.